I'll do your tour guide for today. But before we start, I'd like to tell you about this place and a little bit about Kwame. So this place initially was a polo park for the British. They didn't allow blacks or Africans specifically to come to this place. So that was one of the reasons why Dr. Kwame decided to declare the independence of Ghana over there. So it's called the Declaration Ground. So he was born in Nkrumah on 21st September 1909 or 1909 in the western region of Ghana. So he was enrolled in a Catholic elementary school over there. So in 1925 he attended Nkrumah Training College, where he was introduced to new nationalist ideas, politics and stuff. So he started gaining interest in politics. So because of how good he was, in 1935 he gained a scholarship to the United States of America, specifically Lincoln University. Over there he read theology together with psychology for the first time. Then proceeded to do his master's in the University of Pennsylvania. So read psychology and sociology. So he started gaining interest in politics and stuff. So because of how good he was in politics as well, in 1947 he was invited back to Ghana, specifically by a political party, to be their general secretary. So that was actually the first political party in Ghana, known as the United Gold Coast Convention, UGCC. So to be their general secretary in 1947. So he came back to Ghana and he was the general secretary then. The following year in 1948, he was arrested together with 5 leaders of that party. They are now known as the Big Six and they are the ones on the money now. So they were involved in an anti-colonial riot and strikes against the government led by Sir Gerard Creasy then, the British. So they arrested them, they served 1 year in prison. So in 1949, they were released. And Kwame Nkrumah didn't like their idea of gaining independence, so they had a slogan known as the self-government within the shortest possible time. So he departed or moved away from that party, established a new one known as the Convention People's Party, that's CPP. So he became the leader of the CPP. But in 1950, he was arrested alone again because of his ways of gaining independence. Because he had a slogan known as the self-government now. Which means he wanted independence now for Ghana. So they arrested him alone. He served 3 years in prison. But because of how popular he was, in 1951 he won an election whilst he was in prison. Because the people were protesting for him to be on the ballot. So they won, they actually gained the interest and he was on the ballot and he won the election. So out of 38 people or parliament seats in the parliament, his party won 34 of them. So he was supposed to be the leader then. So in 1952 he became Ghana's first prime minister. So as time goes on, in 1957, specifically 6th of March 1957, we were the first African country to gain independence. So he stood there to declare the independence of Ghana. So Ghana became a republic. So in 1960 he was sworn in as the president of Ghana, actually the first president of Ghana. So he was the president from 1960 to 1966. But in 1966 there was leadership, and also there was economic hardship as well. And they thought he was suppressing the opposition as well. So they were three government led by Akotiama Nkwakwa and Emmanuel Kotoka. They were basically the leaders of the coup. And indirectly the CIA was also involved. That was in 1966. He went on an exile in Guinea. Over there, he was made the co-president over there. So being the president in Ghana and second time co-president in Guinea. So he stayed in Guinea from 1966 to 72, the time he passed away. So he died on 27th April 1972 at the age of 62. So actually he was buried 3 times, and I'll tell you why when we get to the Mausoleum over there. That's where he has been finally buried. So he had a wife, that's Madam Fatih Nkrumah, and she was from Egypt. They had 3 children together. I'll tell you about them when we go to the main museum. So before we start, we have the declaration ground, the Mausoleum over there where he has been finally buried. You have the audio visual channel over there. You see some pictures and short videos of him and quotes written on the walls as well. We have the main museum where his personal belongings are located. Then our final place will be the freedom wall over there. Is are we good? Okay, so we start from the declaration ground.
Do you have options to ask questions?
Yeah.
So you made a statement that the CIA was involved in his overthrow of the government. How do you know that? How do you arrive to that conclusion?
Okay, so you see, the coup was quite controversial some way or the other. Actually, there were 3 people involved in the coup. So we have Afifa or Anchor also part, but the CIA, they're not so sure, but indirectly, that's why I said indirectly some way or somehow.
So it's just an assumption, not actual facts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, there are historical records that prove that the CIA was involved.
You don't think the CIA would do something like that?
I think they will.
Oh, okay.
But the way he said it, right?
right.
And you telling tourists about it, I want to make sure that it was more factual. You just making an assumption out of
Actually,
it.
it's factual.
Yeah,
There are-
and I wanted him to,
there are
I want him to
records,
specify
but
that exactly.
So a lot of tribes show that
Yeah.
and a lot of them. And you can just, I think the new guy here that is.
Okay, so you are welcome to the declaration ground. So over here, this statue right there, the statue of Kwame Nkrumah. So it's made up of bronze actually. And the finger pointing forward actually has a meaning. Symbolically, it means forward and backwards a meaning. And it means few steps towards democracy or okay. In other way, a vision for unity for Africa and also Ghana. That's the step, the left one over there. So in front of us, you can see some statues kneeling down over there. So they are known as the traditional horn blowers. They were the ones that announced the death of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So they are actually kneeling to pay respect to him. That's why you can see them kneeling over there. And in front of them, you can see some other two statues. So the one playing the guitar on your right represents the northern part of Ghana. Then the one playing the drums represents the southern part of Ghana. So they are known as the cultural diversity statues, representing different cultures in Ghana as well. So that's why you can see these two men. Naturally, the water surrounded by this place has a meaning. Water actually means life, and there are some people in Ghana who still believe he never died, or they even had a song for him like that. So he living long or something like that to represent life. That's why you can see the water surrounded by this place.
So the statues of those people, are they like the real people statues, or they just made up some statues to symbolize them?
That for this place, you can take pictures so that I move on to the mausoleum over there. That right there is the mausoleum constructed by Donata, a Ghanaian architect. It's made up of Italian marbles anyway. So you see the edges or the size of the mausoleum like this actually has a meaning. So it represents a sword turned upside down like this, the size. Which means peace. So traditionally when a king does that, it means everything has been calmed down. It represents peace. That's the middle of the side, looks downwards like this. Then the middle part represents the tree that has been captured with the branches and stuff. Which means Kwame Nkrumah wanted to do more for Ghana, but he couldn't finish. That's the middle part as well. So I was like, he was buried 3 times, and when he finished, I'll tell you why he was buried 3 times. Okay, so this is the final resting place that I said earlier. So I said in 1956, he was made the co-president in Guinea. So he stayed in Guinea from 1956 to 72, the time he passed away. So when he went in 71, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. By 72, he couldn't make it. So the body was sent back to Guinea. So from a few months, he was buried over there. Then the body was secondly sent to Nkrumah. His people over there requested for the body to be buried over there. So from Guinea to Nkrumah, he was born. Then in 1992, our then President John Robin decided to do the final burial over here. So he was made the co-president, that was why he was buried there for a few months. Then from Nkrumah, about 20 years, then last year over here. So he died at the age of 60 years in 1972. So beside him, you have the wife over there, you can come around. So that's Madam Fatih Nkrumah, and she was from Egypt, and she died in 2007 at the age of 75. So the reason why you are seeing the tomb over here is she made a wish or requested for the body to be buried beside her husband. That's in 2007, that's how you can see the tomb over here. And he received that of stroke in Egypt.
At what age?
75.
75. So before we start this, right, I got a quick question about you saying he was buried 3 times.
Okay.
Was he really buried in the ground and dug him up and brought the body and buried again in Nkrumah, dug the body up and just buried him over here again?
Okay, so for example, in Guinea like this, he was dug inside, then they removed the body, sent to Nkrumah. That place was quite a state burial like that, so people used to go and see the body and stuff. So this is the final burial, as I said. So for example, in Guinea, he was dug inside.
Okay.
For a few months, then they removed him.
Yeah, because it's kind of a little contradictory to some of the stories out there. That's what I want to clarify from what you're saying.
So they had a funeral in 72 as well.
Okay.
In Nkrumah. There was one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So before we go inside to the audiovisual tunnel, see this statue right here. The head separated for the body right there. So originally it was in front of our old parliament house when we crossed the road. Yes. So in 1960, as I said, he was overthrown. It was on a peace mission to North Vietnam specifically. We had a notice that his government has been overthrown. So some angry men and women in Ghana vandalized this statue right here. They destroyed everything, the thighs, the arm, the head as well. That's why you can see the head separated. And the woman, anonymous one of course, took the head and hid it for about 43 years. Because of the love she had for the Kwame Nkrumah. And also she didn't like the way they were destroying the stuff. So she hid it for 43 years, later brought it back. So she was afraid to mention the name to the people. So she sent it specifically to an information center. Because she was afraid, because at that time, if they found anything of him, they would kill him. Because of the coup that happened. So she hid it for 43 and later brought it back. So this was mounted in 2007, mounted in 2009. 200 to unite Africa as a whole. But with these designs you see on the wall, it represents the traditional connection between Ghana and Egypt. That's what you see on the wall. So he got married to an Egyptian. So that marriage was politically arranged. It was a strategic move to combine the two countries as well politically, not just a mere marriage as you see. So we go inside to see where his personal belongings are located. That's the main view. Different facial expressions of him on the wall. There was a time he laughed, he was happy sometimes, he was angry sometimes, he was crying sometimes. So this represents the pains, the emotions, the happiness and sadness he went through to gain independence, as I said. So it also represents the human nature as well. So he was also a human being like us. Yes, so that's the meaning. Then on top of it, I would like to explain the colors of the Ghana flag as well. So the red one talks about the blood of our forefathers that fought for independence for us. The yellow one represents the rich minerals of Ghana. Then the blue one represents the vegetation of Ghana. Then there's the black star in the middle that talks about the hope of Africa. So we being the first African country to gain independence, other African countries will look up onto us. So that's the meaning of the black star over there. Then we have the favorite quote of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He says, "I'm not an African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me." So it's actually deeply true. It means we as Africans or blacks are supposed to portray the values, the cultures of Africans, not just because we are black or we are from this side. So that's the meaning of the quote over there. Are we good? Okay, so thank you for coming and hearing our talk. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.